Rada's departure, just through your eyes, did you see it coming, and how sort of dramatic were things at the start of the week?
No, I didn't really see it coming. I thought the first 3 games we was up to our neck in all the contests, and a bounce of a ball here, a better execution on the pass there, and we could have quite easily been 3 from 3 rather than 3-0. So yeah, it was a disappointing. Spoke to him on the Sunday after he'd had his chat with obviously the powers that be, and disappointed for him because he's a really good man, and I've got a lot of time for Lee. He's a close friend and he's a good coach, and it's disappointing that the two parties decided to come to the decision for him to move on.
Are you able to sort of clarify whether it was Lee's decision initially or not?
No, not really. I think they'd had a chat previously, but they come to a mutual agreement that it was time for them obviously to go their separate ways.
So not long after his conversation with the powers that be, I'm assuming you get a call as well. What's going through your mind at that time? Are you thinking, am I going to be asked to stay on or move out?
Yeah, it's a little bit like the weather. It was a little bit like a snowstorm, to be honest. The Sunday, obviously, he told me I received a further phone call from the club, just saying, look, we're going to announce it to the players tomorrow, with you obviously in interim charge for the next couple of games. The Monday came, the leaders at the club obviously addressed the players, and then I stepped in and just spoke about what we're going to do on the Monday training wise, and then how we're going to plan the week with a view to trying to get performance against Huddersfield on Friday. So a bit of a whirlwind, but I've got a little bit of experience from 2020 when I stepped in at short notice. I think that was round 4 or something like that. When Lee unfortunately moved on from his job at Hull FC. So I've got a little bit of experience, sort of like drawing that experience, and just spoke about hitting a reset button and trying to put in a performance for Lee and the club on Friday.
So you're going to be asked this question, obviously. Is this a job that you would like to take on a permanent position?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, it's early, and out of respect for obviously the guy who's just moved away from it, I don't want to speak, in depth with regards to taking a position. But it is something that I definitely want to consider, and ultimately, I think it'll be the players that decide if I get the job with their performances and how they're turn the good performances into results. So yeah, it's definitely something that I want to do. I had a taste of it at Hull FC. Felt I did a reasonable job there, and it's something that I definitely want to consider here.
You did do a good job there, and you've done a good job with England as well. Do you feel like you're ready for that head coach?
Yeah, I've been a coach now since the age of 23. I'm now coming up to 42. So I've got a lot of experience. I've worked with some great coaches. The likes of Sean McRae, John Keir, Peter Sharp, Richard Agar, John Sharp, Sean Wayne with England. And then Paul Wellens in the England setup, Paul Anderson in the England setup. So I've got vast experience of working with some top coaches. You pick the brains of all those coaches, in the time that you've been working with them. And then I've been fortunate enough to coach some top players as well, the likes of Sean Long and, Craig Fitzgibbon, Sean Berrigan, Stephen Kearney, Gareth Ellis, all guys who have got a really, really good standard in the game. And those are the type of people would tell you if you weren't very good at coaching. But the feedback I've had from them guys, when I was coaching them has always been positive. So I'm confident in, what I'm able to do, and hopefully, I'll get the opportunity to do that here.
So how do you get the best out of this current group in the short term?
Just give a bit of confidence back. When you lose narrowly, confidence can take a little bit of a battering. Spoke to the guys today about just having confidence in what they're able to do, and spoke to them about visualising them at their best and what do they do when they're at their best, and making sure that on Friday we're all together and connected, and working really, really hard for obviously the Castleford club, because I think we need to make that real connection with the supporters, and the supporters of Castleford really want to see a team that, you know, gives the role from minute 1 to minute 80 and play a certain way. And I'll be looking to do that on Friday night.
I know Rad has said it was quite a difficult team to pick over the first few games. How challenging has it been for you to settle on that squad for this first game with you in charge?
Yeah, it's been difficult. We've got a couple of guys who, you know, we're giving every chance for them to, you know, make the final 17. Paul McShane obviously picked up a knock against Wigan, so we're giving him every opportunity to, you know, declare himself fit to play. Beretta Farimo the same. You know, a couple of, you know, bruised bodies after a physical game against Wigan, and you always get that when you play against Wigan. You know, the dynamic stress load, which is, you know, marker in the GPS is always, you know, through the roof because we're a very, very physical team and they play for 80 minutes. So, you know, we had some bruised bodies. So we give them every opportunity to get themselves right for this game on Friday.
What's the prognosis regarding Niall's injury?
He saw a scan. He's had a scan on Tuesday, I think it was. An AC joint. But the diagnosis is quite positive, really. It'll be 4 to 6 weeks, so hopefully, you know, he might be able to get back into training and considered for selection a little bit sooner than that. But you know, it's a blow for now. You know, he's obviously had a couple of injuries last year and started the season, you know, in good form and has picked up another knock. But the diagnosis isn't as bad as we first feared, so there is a little bit of a positive in there.
What options do you have in that department then?
We've got the likes of Jack Broadbent, who's you know, a very, very versatile player. Got great utility value. Can excel, you know, anywhere across the back line, whether it be on the wing, centre, half back, or full back. You know, he's got some experience there. There's also Jason Gary, who's an exceptionally talented, you know, young lad, and has always come up with some big plays whenever he's played for Castleford Tigers. So, you know, he comes into consideration as well. So we'll settle on the team after we've, you know, done some final checks. But we want to give, obviously, those guys who've had those bumps, you know, every opportunity to be able to play on Friday.
Andy, can you confirm if Jake Mamo's left the club?
No, he's not left the club. He's injured at the moment. Just, you know, doing a little bit of rehab work. We're aware, obviously, a piece which is, you know, recently come out, but at the moment, you know, we're across that. He's at the club and, you know, he's in the medical room, you know, just doing a little bit of work on, you know, a little bit of a niggle he's picked up.
What about the Giants then? What sort of gauge have you got on them at the moment?
They're very, very good side. You know, Ian Watson, you know, has done a good job at Huddersfield. They come with a very clear plan. The low risk out of yardage. They get to kicks. They look to box you in. And then they've got some real talented players that want to get it quick and on the front foot. They can cause you problems. You know, Theo Fars is up there with one of the best halves in the competition. Very, very good at playing the process game, plays straight, kicks well, directs a team exceptionally well. And then, you know, they've got some real individual flair in, you know, Will Price and Tuilola Hero, you know, can damage any team in the competition. I've got a real high respect for Chris Hill. Spent some time, obviously, with Hilly over the course of the World Cup, and I can see why Watto, you know, went out to get him. Absolute champion player, but a champion fellow, and the way that he goes about his business in camp, there's no surprise to see him obviously still doing what he's doing. Obviously, at the age of about 35, exceptional player. Is, for me, you know, England's best player in the World Cup. He was absolutely sensational. So, you know, we've got a job to do on Chris. And then, you know, one of the guys who Watto took with him from Salford in Luke Yates, you know, real solid performer. Hits hard, comes off the back fence, does all the tough stuff really well. So, you know, they're an exceptional side and we'll show them the utmost respect, but we need to make sure that we take care of business and make sure that we perform well. And if we do that, we give ourselves a good chance of getting the 2 points.
Just lastly from me, how special will it be for you to be in charge on Friday, isn't it? And in terms of your, you know, wanting to take that job on full time, do you feel it's sort of imperative to get those results and performances over the next couple of games?
I just hope it goes better than my first game in charge for Hull FC. I got beat by 50 against Salford, so anything better than that is going to be a positive. But no, on a serious note, I'm desperate for us to get off to a good start. I think if we can get off to a good start, showcase some bits which we've been working on the training field, in the couple of sessions that we've done, get back to playing that, expansive brand of rugby, which is, associated with Castleford, and just connect again with, the supporters. Seeing a team that's prepared to dig deep when it gets tough, and stay in the contest from the first minute to the 80th, and just reconnect with the town and what Castleford's all about again.
What's the players' reaction been like? I mean, were they as sort of shocked as you all were, and how have they responded in the week?
Yeah, they were shocked. Monday was a very somber atmosphere at the club, which you can expect. Obviously, Lee's a very big personality. He's responsible for obviously the squad that we've got being together. The guys he's coached before, the likes of Maher Fanoa and Beretta Farimo, Joe Westerman. We're really, really disappointed that he didn't get longer than the 3 games of this season. But that's the sport that we're in. Obviously, the club's made a decision as a coaching staff and as a playing group. You just have to roll with it. It's not nice because he's a good man. He's a friend, and he's a great coach. So we was all disappointed for him, and we all feel partly responsible. For Lee obviously making the decision, and the club making the decision, to part ways. And we've got to take a little bit of that responsibility and that bitterness what you have, because we are all responsible. It's a team effort, and staff and players included. We need to carry a little bit of that responsibility. Unfortunately for Lee, obviously making a decision to part ways.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Have you had any positive conversations or indications from the club on your prospects of getting the job permanently?
As a club, we had a little bit of a chat on Tuesday afternoon, just basically just informing myself that the club are receiving obviously applications and accepting CVs. They're going to do their due diligence and select the right man for the job. I spoke to them and said about what I want to do regards to this week, and just trying to create a little bit of energy and a little positivity, and try and get some confidence back into the lads. And they said for me to lead in this interim capacity, but I think they know that I want the job. I'm ready to be a head coach. And I want the opportunity, to take this club forward. But they need to do the right thing, and I'm sure that the decision makers at the club will come to the right decision. Hopefully, that's me. If not, that whoever gets the opportunity to lead this great club, I'm sure they'll do it with distinction. But I feel as though I'm ready to be that person, and I want the job. I'm confident in this group that we've got. And I know what a special club it is. Just when you're sat in here now, the Legends Bar, and you see some of those guys on the wall, likes of, John Joiners and, Tuera Nickhouse and the Lee Cruxes of this world. It's a special club, steeped in a rich history, and, we've seen some great times at Castleford, and, just recently that, there's been some special moments, and I feel as though, I can get the club, back playing that brand of rugby, and hopefully, get some confidence into this group of players.
Yeah, I mentioned you were at a long time, got the club into the playoffs in interim charge. You coached at Wakefield, England as well. Can you do much more to get a head coach role, do you think?
I don't know. That's a thing which is difficult. I had some chats at home, with my family, and they're all desperate, for me to get an opportunity here at Hull. In very, very difficult circumstances, COVID break. All our home games were in Lancashire. We're playing games at short notice. The team and the staff have all taken pay cuts because of COVID. We managed to get within 80 minutes of a grand final. You're thinking, oh, I'm a chance here. And I still didn't get the job. So, you know, sometimes logic goes out the window. Sometimes it's business decisions. Sometimes they maybe, you know, feel as though someone with more experience or a different accent, you know, might be the way to go. But all I can do is, you know, trust in my own ability, trust in what I think's the right way to coach this group of players, and hopefully you'll see a turnaround in, you know, the results, and, you know, aspects of our performance will improve. And if we get the results and, you know, get some quality performances, hopefully that will be enough for me to get the job. But it isn't a shoo-in. You know, the club has to make the decision, and hopefully they'll make the right one, whoever that may be.
You're obviously still young, but given how long you've been around, given the vacancies that have come up, I feel like it's now or never in terms of head coach role. And can you get pigeoned as a good assistant coach and that?
Yeah, you can. You know, and the assistant coach role, you know, is very much a purely coaching role, a little bit of management, sometimes being the good cop, sometimes being the bad cop. You know, I've done that, you know, now for a long time. I just feel as though I'm ready to take that next step. But to take that next step, you need an opportunity. And hopefully, you know, this opportunity, I'll be able to grab it with both hands. The players will buy into some of the little tweaks that I'm going to introduce, and, you know, we'll get some good results and performances. If you get good results and performances and still don't get the job, then it is a case of, well, what more do I need to do? And that's probably something which I'll ask the question. I didn't really get that feedback from a Hull FC point of view on, you know, why I didn't get the job. I just assumed that, you know, they went down the route of an Australian, you know, to maybe try and sell a few more season passes. You know, I hope it wasn't to do with performance, because I thought performance was good. But, you know, that's up to, you know, those individual decision makers at each individual club, you know, to make their decisions based on the facts, what, you know, they see is important. So I can't assume anything. All I've got to do is just work hard, get my head down, try and get the players to buy into what I'm doing, and hopefully the results will help me, you know, get the job.
Yeah, just on the players, it's an experienced group. Do they have to find it from within to respond after a coaching departure, which is ultimately down to results, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to think that they feel partly responsible. Like I just said to Dave, they'll feel partly responsible, and, you know, they'll come out with a performance on Friday, because it's in there. You know, that, like you said, there's lots of experience. This group of players know how to play the game. They're now to prepare for a game. You know, I've put some pressure on those leaders within the group, you know, to stand up and make better decisions in the heat of battle, and, you know, to drive the team, you know, to a result. So hopefully we'll see that on Friday.
Just a couple of quick ones. You mentioned before the connection between the club and the fans before. Do you feel that's maybe sort of been on the wane slightly in the last few weeks, and how do you get that back?
I think playing a certain way, you know, the fact that we, you know, had the 0 next to us against Wigan, and we only scored the 1 try against St Helens at home, you know, didn't help. Both those teams are very, very good defensively, and you have to be good to break them down. We did create lots of opportunities against Saints, but we didn't, you know, turn those opportunities into points. And, you know, when you look back over in history, you know, no one's going to say that you created loads of chances. They'll just see the fact that you only scored 1. And then Wigan, you know, in the first half, they scrambled well. They held a couple of blokes above the try line. Gaz Widdop could have quite easily been setting up one of our tries. Unfortunately, he picks a wrong pass and Marshall scores a try. So there were opportunities created, but, you know, we just weren't able to convert those opportunities into points. And, you know, we need to, you know, start nailing those opportunities that we create and get that scoreboard ticking over. And then, you know, the classic hashtag, you know, which they've had for a few years now, you know, will come to fruition.
And just lastly, it's part of your job, almost like changing mindsets, maybe on the field, off the field, in the stands, in other places, well, like changing mindsets around the club, maybe.
I think performances will, you know, answer a lot of questions. The supporters want to see a winning Castleford team, and they want to see you winning in a certain way. I think what's important for us as a group is we make sure that we're prepared to turn up from the first minute till the last minute, work hard, make sure that the fans see that you're working hard, you're giving your absolute best, your absolute all in every game, for every minute of the game, and ultimately, that will be enough, for the supporters to say, look, they've given it a really good crack. There's going to be some games where a bounce of a ball might not go your way, and then there's other games where every pass sticks. But we're aware of that, and we need to make sure that we put in a good performance on Friday.
Have you spoke to Lee since he was left the club?
Yeah, I spoke to him a couple of times.
How's he taking it?
Taking it as the man he is. He understands the club's reasons. He's obviously given his reasons, and they've made a decision to part the ways. I don't think he'll be out the game for long. He's a good coach. He's got good connections. His stock's high at the moment after his exploits in the World Cup, and he knows the game inside out. He's a hard worker, and he's a big personality. And whoever makes the decision to try and take Lee wherever that might be, that they're getting an exceptional person. He's a good friend of mine, and obviously how the game plays out. We'll remain good friends. We've been mates since the age of 14, 15. So he's okay. But a little bit disappointed, like we all are. But I'm sure he'll get over it in the next coming couple of months.